Hi you guys, this video lesson is on ordering rational numbers. Before you move forward with this video lesson, please make sure you have a piece of paper out and something to write with so that you can take notes and you can write down some of the examples that I show you during this video, and then you can use those as you do your practice assignment. So with that said, let's go ahead and start with a couple of tasks here. Tell whether the fractions below are bigger than 1/2 or smaller than 1/2. So at this point, I would like you guys to push pause on the video, and I want you to just try this for a minute. See if you can figure out which fractions are bigger than 1/2 or smaller than 1/2. And when you've got that done, go ahead and push play again. Okay, so hopefully all of you have something written on your paper. For A, 3/8. If we're going to say whether that's bigger than 1/2 or smaller than 1/2, well, half of 8 would be 4, and 3/8, 3 is smaller than 4. So this one would have been smaller than 1/2, and I'm just going to put an S, okay? For B, 11/20. Well, we know that half of 20 is 10, so if it's 11/20, that's going to be bigger than 1/2. That one would be bigger than 1/2. For C, 5/9. Well, half of 9 would be 4.5, and since 5 is bigger than that, we would say 5/9 is bigger than 1/2. 5/11. Half of 11 is 5.5, and so 5/11 would be smaller than 1/2. 5/12. We know that half of 12 is 6, so if you only have 5 out of 12, then that means you have less than 1/2. So that would be smaller than 1/2. And then for the last one, 3 out of 5, well, we know half of 5 is 2.5. So if you have 3 out of 5, that one is going to be bigger than 1/2. Okay, let's do the same thing on the next part. Tell whether these decimals are closer to 0, 1/2, or 1. So go ahead and push pause. And then push play again once you've had a chance to go through these, and I will go through them with you. Okay, so 0.5, you guys, that is actually just 1/2, right? 0.5 is 5/10, and then 5/10 simplifies to 1/2. So tell whether these decimals are closer to 0, 1/2, or 1. Well, this one is 1/2. Okay, let's look at B. 0.05. If we were to write the fraction for that, that would be 5/100 or 1/20. Okay, so 1/20 is definitely closer to 0 than it is 1/2 or 1. Okay, let's go to the next one. 0.19, well, that's going to be 1900ths. Okay, and 1900ths, we know that 1/2 is 50/100ths, right? So 1900ths, it's not very close to that. It's closer to 0 than it is. Okay, so on the 0.19, we just took care of that one. So let's look at the next one, 0.087. So this is going to be 87/1000ths. Okay, this is a lot closer to 0 than it is 1/2. Okay, because remember, as a decimal, 1/2 is really just 0.5. Okay, so the 0.087 is closer to 0. On E, 0.45, that's actually pretty close to 0.5, isn't it? So we would say that one's closer to 1/2. And then 0.8, that one is almost to 1. Okay, so we would say that one's closer to 1. Now, as we order rational numbers, it's good to keep in mind estimates of where these numbers would be. Okay, so that's why we did that activity. Now, put the following numbers in order from least to greatest. When you are ordering rational numbers from least to greatest, they either have to be all fractions with the same common denominator, or they all have to be decimals. And to be honest, I think it's a lot easier to change them all to decimals and compare that way than to try and find common denominators for all of them. Okay, so we are just going to take, and any of the given rational numbers that are fractions, we are going to write down their decimal equivalents, and then we are going to use those to help us compare. Oh, I ran out of space here, and then 1/5. Okay, so 7/8. Remember, to change a fraction to a decimal, you're going to take the top number, you divide by the bottom number. 7 goes into 8 times. Add a 0, bring a 0 down. Okay, there we go. 0.875. So 7/8 as a decimal is 0.875. Okay? 5/9. So let's go ahead and do 5/9. So to change 5/9 into a decimal, we take the 5, we divide by the 9. Oh, this one looks like it's a repeating decimal. Okay, so 0.55 repeating. Remember, we write it like this. And then 1/10, that one's easy, you guys. 1/10, okay? We can just say it and write it. 5/8. Looks like there's a little bit more space here, so 5/8. 8 goes into 5. 6 times. 8 goes into 20 twice. Okay, so 0.625. 2/5, and we can actually write that as tenths if we want. That would be 4/10, and then we can just write that as 0.4. And then 1/5, that's the same as 2/10 or 0.2. Okay, so now once we have all of the values as decimals, now we can compare, and we need to write these in order from least to greatest. When I think about decimals, I always think about money when I'm thinking about their value. So I estimate their money value, and that helps me to be able to tell which one is the smallest and which one is the greatest. So as we look at all of these numbers right here, okay, if we were to think about this money-wise, the 0.09, that's just 9 cents. That looks like the smallest, doesn't it? I don't see any of these that are smaller than 9 cents. Okay, so very least is going to be the 0.09. Okay, now we took care of that one. Let's just cross that one off. Okay, now the next smallest, I think, is probably going to be this one right here, the 1/10. I don't see any that are smaller than 1/10. So money-wise, that would be like 10 cents. Okay, so 1/10. And then let's just mark that one off. Okay, and then if we think about these money-wise, we can put a 0 here, that would be like 20 cents. We can put a 0 here, that would be like 40 cents. So that means that 1/5, that would be our next one, our next smallest. Okay, so we took care of this one, and then it looks like the 0.40, the 40 cents, which is 2/5. And then from there, what do you guys see? Oh, I think this one right here, this 0.55 repeating, that would be like 56 cents if we were to round that up to the hundredths. So the 5/9. Oh, actually I missed one, sorry. Before 5/9 would have to be the 0.45. So 0.45, and then the 5/9. Okay, And then it looks like we have the 0.625. I think that one's next, which would be the 5/8. Sorry, I ran out of space here. So that'd be the 5/8. And then the next one would be the 0.75. Okay, so we can cross that one off. And then we have our 0.875, which is our 7/8. Okay, money-wise, that would round to like 88 cents. And then last but not least, we have our 0.9. Okay, so that was a lot of work, wasn't it? Putting those in order from least to greatest. But just remember the steps are to make them all decimals, and then you can compare the decimals. And when you're thinking about decimals, it always helps if you just think about them like how much money you have. Okay, so decimals, money always rounds to the hundredths. Okay, let's look at another one. Put the following numbers in order from least to greatest. Okay, so in order to do this, we are going to change all of these fractions to decimals, and let's just do that really quickly. So we have 1/3, which would be 0.33 repeating, and then we have our 5/18, which is going to be 0.27 repeating. The 7 repeats on that one. And then we have 7/10. Well, that one's easy. Anytime it's a tenth or a hundredth, it's easy, right? 7/10. And then we have 3/16. Okay, and 3/16 as a decimal is 0.1875. And then we have 5/8. And we actually did 5/8 on our other problem, and that was 0.625. Okay, and then the other ones that we have left are the 0.25, and then we also have 0.75. Okay, so once these are all decimals, it's really easy to compare and to see what their values are. Okay, so if we just add a 0 here, we can think about these all like money. So this would be like 33 cents. This would be like, if we round to the hundredths, 28 cents, 70 cents. This one right here, our hundredths, is 8. And then since the one after that is bigger than 5 or bigger, this would round to 19 cents. Okay, for estimating money-wise. 5/8, again, if we round this to the hundredths, because the one after it is 5 or bigger, this would be like 63 cents. And then we have 25 cents and 75 cents. Okay, so if we're going from least to greatest, you guys can see that this one right here, this approximately 19 cents, that would be our very smallest. Okay, that'd be our least amount. Okay, and then from there, it looks like it would be this one. And then from there, it would be this one right here, the approximately 28 cents, which was our 5/18. And then from there, it would have to be this one, the 1/3, because that one was about 33 cents. And then from there, it would have to be this one right here, the 5/8. And then from there, it would have to be the 7/10, and then the 0.75. Okay, so that is how we order from least to greatest. We change all of the rational numbers to their decimal value, and then we compare the decimals. Okay, so for this one, I want you to try this one on your own. I'm going to help get you started by helping you with changing all of the fractions to the decimals. Okay, so 7 and 5/24. As a decimal, that's going to be 7.2083. and then the 3's repeating. Okay. The next one, 39/5. If we change that to a decimal, we get 7.8. Okay. And then the next one, the fraction 7 and 11/20. So 7 and 11/20 as a decimal would be 7.55. And then 7 and 1/6 is 7.16 repeating. And then we have 7 and 9/20, which would be 7.45. Okay, and then let's just write these other ones down. We have 7.05, we have 7.5, we have 7.25, and then we have 7.802. Okay, so let's just think about these money-wise. Okay, this one right here, if we round to the hundredth spot, that would be like $7.21. This one would be $7.80. This one right here would be $7.55. This one right here would be $7.17 because the 6 is going to repeat, right? So that would round to $7.17. And then we've got $7.45, $7.05. This would be $7.50. This would be $7.25. And then this one would round to $7.80. Okay, so now we need to order these from greatest to least this time. Okay, so as we look at these, the very biggest amount that we have here would be this one right here. These two are similar, aren't they? But because this one has a 2, it's actually bigger than this one. Okay, so 7.802, that's our biggest. And then our next one is the 39/5. Okay, because we're going greatest to least. Okay, and then we have, as we look through here, I think it's this one right here with the 7.55. So that's the 7 and 11/20. Okay. And then we have, I think our 50, the 7.5. Okay. And then from there, we have this one right here, the 7.45. Okay, and then after that, it would have to be this one right here, the 7.25. Sorry, you guys, I'm running out of space here. I have to go down below. The 7.25, and then from there, it would be this one right here, the 7 and 5/24. And then from there, it would have to be this one right here, the 7 and 1/6. And then last but not least would be our 7.05. Okay, so that is putting them in order from least to greatest. Okay, now we have done this with positive numbers. Okay, now we are going to do the same thing but with negative numbers. So just remember that as you get further to the right on the number line, you're going to get more. The right is ascending, it's increasing. Right is might, you're going to get more. Okay? To the left is descending or decreasing, you're going to get less. Left is less, you're going to get poor. Okay? So right is might, you're going to get more. Left is less, you're going to get poor. So now, let's just look at these examples right here. It says select all lists that show the numbers ordered from least to greatest. So as we look at this list right here, if we were to look at the number line, negative 1 is to the right of negative 2 on the number line, which is to the right of negative 3, which is to the right of negative 4, which is to the right of negative 5. These right here are actually greatest to least. Okay, number 1, negative 1 has more value than negative 2. Okay, this one right here, though, is least to greatest. Negative 5 has less value than negative 1. Okay, let's look at the next one. Negative 5, negative 10, 0, 5, 10. So these right here are okay if we're going from least to greatest. But if we're going from least to greatest, we would have to swap these two around because negative 10 is of less value than negative 5. So the list would have to look like this. Okay, and as we look at this one right here, this one is from least to greatest. Okay, 2, 3, 4. Order the numbers 5, 9, 1, negative 5, negative 9, negative 1 from least to greatest. Okay, so the biggest negative is actually our smallest value. So negative 9, and then we would have negative 5, and then we would have negative 1, and then we would have 1, and then we would have 5, and then we would have 9. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and skip ahead. I think you guys probably understand how to order integers. We need to talk about how to order rational negative numbers, which is just the same as ordering integers. Okay, if you look at this number line here, here's the 0 right here. I'm just going to go ahead and highlight the 0. Okay, there's our 0. So remember that as you move to the right on the number line, the numbers get bigger, and as you move to the left on the number line, the numbers get smaller. Okay, and so negative 3 and 1/4, you can see that it's right here. It's to the furthest left on the number line. So it is smaller than all the rest of these. So as we work right, negative 3 and 1/4, negative 2, negative 1, 0, 2.2, these numbers increase in value as you move left to right. Okay, so now think about that as we spend some time with ordering the opposites of what we had as an example, as our first example. Okay, now we have already done this, kind of. Okay, this problem right here that we already did, it's the same as this problem right here. It's just that these are the opposites of those. Okay, so whatever order we put these ones in, we're going to have to go the reverse order for their opposites. Okay, so negative 0.45, negative 7/8, negative 5/9, negative 1/10, negative 0.9, negative 5/8, negative 2/5, negative 0.9, negative 1/5, and negative 0.75. Okay, so I'm going to quickly just write up all the decimal values for the fractions for you. I'll just copy it from the other sheet. Okay, so now on these, if we are ordering them from the least to the greatest, okay, the very smallest is actually going to be our very biggest number, but because we're talking about negatives, it's of the very least value. Okay, so this one right here, the negative 0.09, the negative 0.9, that one is our very smallest value that we have. Okay, so even though it's our biggest number, because it's negative, it is our smallest value. Okay, then we are going to have our negative 0.875, which the fraction for that was the negative 7/8. Okay, then we are going to have this one right here, the negative 0.75. Then we are going to have this one right here, the negative 5/8. Then we're going to have the negative 5/9. Okay, so we've done negative 5/9, negative 5/8. Okay, and then from there, we're going to have the negative 0.45. And we already did this one. Okay, and then from there, we are going to have the negative 2/5. Which is our negative 2/5. And then from there, let's see, I think it would be this one, the negative 1, the negative 0.2, which is our negative 1/5. Okay, and we already did this one. And then that leaves us with our negative 1/10. And then last but not least is our negative 0.09. Okay. Whoa, this has been such a long video, you guys. I'm so sorry. This was just something that took a little bit of time to explain. So just as a recap, when you are ordering rational numbers, your very first step is to change all of the fractions to decimals. And then once they're all decimals, you can compare them, okay? Remember that if a number is to the left of another number on the number line, it is of less value, okay? So the bigger the number, if it's negative, the less value that it has. Okay, it's really important that you understand that this year. So with that said, you guys need to move on to your next activity, which is ordering rational numbers. There are some practice problems for you to do. And then once you've done the practice problems, I want you to use the answer key to correct your own. And then if you're having any questions about this, please make sure that you come and get some help with it, okay? I'm just waiting here, ready to help you.